Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Stonetta and I will be cooking 3 easy weeknight recipes, all made out of ground beef. Our first recipe is homemade sloppy joe. Leave those manwich cans on the shelf. To your large pan, add your ground beef. If it is frozen, add a little water and it helps it thaw. I rarely pre-thaw my hamburger if I know it's going to be served ground. Once your hamburger is thawed and mostly cooked, add some salt for seasoning. As you can tell, this is a lot of ground beef, but my family absolutely loves sloppy joes and my husband will gladly take these for leftovers. Once there is no more pink, your hamburger is done and you want to drain out all of your grease as much as possible. Once your hamburger is drained, it's time to add it back to the pan. Now we'll start on our sauce. The first and main ingredient of the sauce is ketchup. And I'll be honest, I do not measure. I just squirt until my heart is content and until the hamburger seems moist all over. You may have to add a little extra depending on what it looks like, but keep stirring and we'll decide later. The next ingredient I do measure, and it is half a cup of barbecue sauce. Too much barbecue sauce can overpower the sloppy joe, so I always measure that so I don't overdo it. Next, we'll add a little mustard and stir that around and just kind of get the feel of whether or not we need to add more ketchup. Now you're going to see that I did indeed have to add more ketchup. I had a little bit more meat in my pan than I normally do, so it's just one of those things where you have to see what it looks like and taste it in between. Now you're going to add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire, and I may not have said that right, but it's one of those words where I feel like most people probably mispronounce it, but that's okay. Now you're going to just stir this around, see if it is moist enough for you. If not, add a little bit more of the ketchup or barbecue sauce if that is what you prefer, and it will look like this when it's done. Now we'll build our sandwich. So add a good helping of sloppy joe and then whatever condiments you prefer. I love a good slice of cheese, a few pickles, and a little bit of mustard. Our second recipe is hamburger steaks with mushroom gravy. Start off by patting out hamburgers a little thick and get out your favorite seasoning. You're going to season both sides liberally. This is a secret seasoning that my husband makes, but any hamburger seasoning will do. We'll add our hamburgers to our pan and cook them on medium heat. Once we get our hamburgers cooking, it's time to wash and prepare our mushrooms. Once they are washed, pat them dry and slice them into medium slices. Once your hamburgers are ready to flip, it is time to add your mushrooms to the pan. To the mushrooms, I add half a teaspoon of onion powder. Next, you want to sprinkle granulated garlic all over both the hamburger steaks and the onions and mix until combined. You will know that your hamburgers are fully cooked when the juices run clear. Once your hamburgers are done, remove them from the pan and drain your mushrooms. Then add those back to the pan and let them finish cooking. Once your mushrooms start to darken, it's time to add the flour. Add 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour to your mushrooms and stir. This will start our gravy. If needed, add a little bit of the hamburger steak drippings back to the pan just to keep the mushrooms from sticking. Now we're going to stir the mushroom and flour mixture until the flour has time to cook. You do not want raw flour taste. Once they cook for about a minute, it's time to add your beef broth. You're going to add about a half a cup, and if you want more gravy, you can add more. You just want your gravy to be on the thicker side, so you're going to stir this until your gravy comes together. Basically, what you made with the flour and the drippings and now this beef broth is a roux. So you are going to stir this until it's all thick and has a good thick but smooth consistency. As you can tell, I didn't really measure the beef broth, so my gravy is more mushrooms, less gravy, but you can always add more. Now we're gonna pour that beautiful mushroom gravy over our hamburger steaks. I sometimes add onions to this recipe, and it is wonderful as well. Our next recipe is a quick and easy taco bake. Fill a medium pot halfway with water and season it with salt. Once the water is to a boil, add 4 cups of your choice of dry pasta. Here's a tip: to keep the pasta from sticking, add a little bit of olive oil to the water. While your pasta is cooking, it's time to cook your ground beef. Once your ground beef is fully cooked, it's time to drain. I had actually cooked a little more than a pound, so I'm going to remove some for later. Once your beef is drained, add it back to the pan and follow the directions on your taco packet. We're going to add 1 full taco packet to our meat. Once your pasta is tender, it's time to drain. In a large bowl, we're going to add our taco meat and our pasta. The remaining ingredients is totally up to you. I chose to add corn and cheese and rotel. Other great options would be black beans, queso dip, salsa, or onions. Once your ingredients are all in your bowl, it's time to gently mix, not to break up your pasta. I added about 1.5 cups of cheese to my mixture. I encourage you to make this your own. Make cooking fun. Add the things that you and your family like. You can heat the ingredients other than the cheese prior to adding everything together. Once everything is incorporated, add everything to a large baking dish and put it in your oven at 350 for at least 10 minutes until all of your cheese is melted. I like to add extra cheese on the top. You could add the extra cheese after it baked a little bit, or bake it slower until everything is heated and your cheese is melted. This is a great way to mix up your Taco Tuesday. Instead of having it in a tortilla shell, we've now made it a yummy, cozy casserole. I hope these recipes make your weeknights a little bit easier and that you enjoy every single one. Please tell me in the comments which one is your favorite. And don't forget, come back and see me.